Hey, you're listening to the C3 Network Podcast with Dan Holland. Our mission is to create a network of microchurches that are finding, teaching, and equipping people to be on mission. Our hope is that this encourages you. Be sure to leave us a review so you can help us share our message with more people who need to hear it. And now, Dan Holland.
Have you ever watched a child try to build something with blocks without a plan? Okay, they start with excitement, they stack pieces in every direction, and for a minute, it looks very promising until gravity takes over. The tower leans, it wobbles, and finally it collapses. See, the problem wasn't passion, it was structure. Passion without a plan produces exhaustion, not sustainable results. And if we're honest, many adults live their life the same way. Welcome back to the Genesis Way. I'm Dan Holland, and today we step into one of the most misunderstood aspects of spiritual growth, shaping your life. Last episode, you dumped everything out, every responsibility, every role, relationship, every distraction. And now you can see what's there, what you have to deal with. But clarity without direction leads to paralysis. If you actually dumped it all out onto paper, there was probably a moment where you thought, this explains a lot. See, today we began to shape what God has entrusted to us. Genesis 1 gives us the blueprint. So after dumping it, God didn't immediately fill the world. He didn't create fish before water or birds before sky. He didn't populate the land before forming land to stand on. See, God's first work was shaping the environment, not filling it. The first 3 days of creation were about forming and shaping. Did you know that? Only then did God begin filling. And that order matters. You dump it, then you shape it, and then you fill it. Fight the inclination to rush out and just get started. So look at the pattern in Genesis chapter 1, starting with verse 3. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning the first day. And God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it. And it was so. God called the vault sky, and there was evening, and there was morning the second day. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let the dry ground appear." And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Day 1, light was separated from darkness. Day 2, waters were separated. And day 3, land was separated from sea. Only after boundaries were established did God then fill the world with life in abundance. See, God forms before he fills. And if you skip the shaping phase, you will fill your life with things that don't belong there. And then call it obedience and wonder why you're exhausted. The issue for many overwhelmed Christians isn't a lack of desire. It's a lack of design. Genesis teaches us that boundaries don't restrict life. In fact, they release life. Light needs darkness to be defined. Land needs the sea in order to be useful. Structure protects our calling. Yet we often say yes because it feels spiritual or meets some emotional need that we have. We stay busy because it feels productive. But without shape, life becomes a blob of commitments. It's activity without direction. It's so easy to be busy and still miss the point. Unshaped time always leads to unfruitful living. And here's a critical distinction. You don't shape your life around opportunities. You shape it around obedience. The opportunities are endless. Assignments, on the other hand, are limited. What is God calling you to do? Focus there. When you confuse opportunity with assignment, you dilute your calling and in many ways exhaust your soul. Shaping your life means organizing the raw material from your dump it list so that responsibilities stop competing and start cooperating. To do this practically, we're going to use the 7 spokes of the Ziegler Wheel of Life as shaping categories. Now, these reflect how God designed us to live holistically. So, spiritual, that's your walk with God. Family, that's your marriage, your parenting, your close relationships. Career, that's your work, your calling. Physical, your health, energy, and rest. Mental, that's your learning, your thinking, your emotional health. Social, those are your friendships, your community, the church. Financial, that has to do with stewardship, provision, generosity. Every item on your dump it list belongs in one and only one of those 7 categories. And that's how chaos begins to turn into clarity. Decide what shape you'll use and then write it down. Be specific. Now, you may even choose to start with just 3 categories. How about physical, spiritual, and mental? Those are great to start with, and then you can expand later. That's fine. Categories help you to decide what you will focus on and what you will not. Shape creates direction. Now, here's your challenge. Take your dump it list and place every item into one of the 7 spokes. And don't rush it. Don't double list things. And then ask one honest question. Does this activity or item or thing take me closer to or further from the life God is calling me to live? If your spiritual spoke is thin, for example, your soul will fill it. If your family spoke is neglected, well, relationships will be strained. If career dominates everything else in your life, you may have turned calling into an idol. See, shaping your life reveals what's been getting your attention. And when you do this honestly, something shifts inside of you. You stop treating everything as equally important. Certain priorities rise to the surface. Other things become negotiable. You begin to realize you don't need more time. You need better shape. If you want help with this, click the link in the show notes for a free Shape It worksheet that walks you through this process step by step. Now, don't skip this. Some believers pray for that direction, and then they'll avoid decisions. They want God to magically shape their life without participating in the shaping. But obedience means active participation. Shaping is where you decide what you will do, how you will do it, and when. See, the Holy Spirit leads, but He doesn't drag people who refuse to walk. Genesis doesn't leave creation half-formed, and God doesn't want your life half-shaped. You've confronted chaos by now, and now you're giving it form. In the next episode, we'll take the shape you've created and begin to establish rhythm. This is the Genesis way.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this podcast, we post a new episode each week, so be sure to subscribe and leave us a review so you can help share our message. We'll see you next time.